Okay, so I just finished bleeding the brakes on the Buick. So this is kind of like a post-video, pre-video, because I wanted to just go over exactly what I'm going to do, or what I did do. Reason being, it wasn't easy to actually video by myself, bleed the brakes same time, and try to get decent video of what was going on. So just in case I skipped any details or missed something, I wanted to just go over exactly what I'm going to do ahead of time, and then hopefully it'll line up somewhat with the video. So basically, you got to get the air out of the brakes, right? So all I'm going to use is fresh .3 brake fluid, some clear plastic hose, rubber hose, flexible hose that you can get at Home Depot or anywhere else. It just has to be able to slide over the bleeder nipples and be tight. You don't want air getting in past the hose. And you just need enough length that you can put it anywhere on any bleeder of the car, run the hose under the car to a little container. I use a little glass jar. You can use whatever you want, but something where you can put brake fluid in it, run the hose into it, and you want to be able to watch it from where you're pressing your brake pedal. So you're going to need 6-8 feet of hose. You're going to start at the passenger side rear, then do driver's rear, then do passenger front, and then driver's front. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to top off the master cylinder, put the hose on the passenger side rear, run the hose to the container where you can see it when you're at the brake pedal, break the bleeder loose, open the bleeder for the passenger rear so the air can come out, and then you're going to slowly pump the pedal, not hard, just going to push it down, release it, kind of just, nice even pressure down and pressure up. You're going to put the cap back on the master cylinder after you top it off before you start, or you'll make a mess like I did today because I forgot at one point to put the cap back on. And you're going to want to check that fluid as you're doing the brake bleeding process. So once you start doing the right rear, it's going to use the most fluid because the whole system's empty. So you'll do that, pump the pedal, whatever, 5-10 times, then stop, go check the level, top it off, go back, do it some more. And you're going to do it until no air bubbles come out of that hose into the container of fluid. When there's no air in that system anymore, you won't see any bubbling in the brake fluid in your container. It'll just be filling the container with fluid. Then go back, tighten that bleeder, then move to the driver's side rear, same thing. Put the hose on the bleeder, put the hose over to the container where you can see it when you're pumping the pedal, open the bleeder up, check your level on your fluid first, and then start pressing the brake pedal down all the way and back up, but not real fast, just a controlled down, controlled up, and watch the hose and you'll see the air. If you're doing this, you're going to see real obviously what the air looks like. It didn't show up, I don't think, so well in the video. We're going to have to see. But that's it. Hit all 4 corners of the car. So you went passenger rear, passenger driver's side, front passenger side, and then front driver's side. And after you've done all 4, you should be good. Now this is a power brake car. So even after this thing's running, if the brake feels like it's not good, if the brake pedal feels like it might be soft because I was not able to use the booster for max pressure, I'll go back and hit all 4 corners again. But right now the pedal is right there, it's rock solid, and I see no leaks, no weeping or anything at any of the threads. You want to go back after you do this and check all the connections of all the brake lines you made. Make sure all the nuts are tight. If you see any weeping at any threads or something, tighten them up, see if that takes care of it. But you basically just want to make sure you don't have any leaks on all the work you've done. So did good. All the flares that I made during the last videos all worked out great. There's no leaks. So as far as I'm concerned right now, the brakes are done. And that's it. Alrighty. So today going to bleed the brakes, or at least that is the goal. Real high tech here. Here's what I'm going to use. An old glass jar with a hole punched in the top, some .3 brake fluid, and some rubber clear hose of your choice. This is actually some old pneumatic line I had laying around. that I'm going to use. I had a dedicated clear hose that I got from Home Depot to do this, and it's MIA. I probably put it somewhere for safekeeping instead of just leaving it on the floor where everything else is, but regardless, this will work. So if you're going to do this, if you go to Home Depot, buy some hose that will fit over your bleeders. You could always bring one with you just to make sure the inner diameter will push over. I actually had found one at Home Depot that would fit both the small and large. Worked well. Excuse me. It worked well as long as I could find it. But this will work. You want probably at least 6 feet of hose, maybe 8. Basically what I'm going to do here is put the hose on the bleeder and run the hose out under the car to a point where I can see it while I'm pumping the brake pedal. Hose is going to run into this jar. I'm going to put some brake fluid in there. And that is about it. There's not a whole lot to it. So I will explain as we go. Okay. So to start off, when bleeding your brakes, you're going to want to start at the furthest point from the master cylinder. So I am currently at the passenger side rear brake. And what I've done is put a wrench on the bleeder. And it turns out it's a 5/16. I have it in a spot where I can crack open the bleeder, and I can also tighten it without having to remove the wrench. Since it's a box wrench, it's not going to come off once the hose is on. So I have my wrench in place, and I have pushed my rubber line over the bleeder. And this line, I'm going to let the car down. The line's going to be sticking out from under the car. Hopefully that line is long enough. Otherwise, I have to go find my dedicated line or go to Home Depot and buy another one. Let's let the car down and see where we're at. The hose is ran from the passenger side rear bleeder valve all the way over into my jar, which has some brake fluid in it, and the hose is submerged into the brake fluid. That's important, so when you let up on the pedal, air cannot get back into the system, only fluid. So that just sits there. Then we're up front. Took the top off the master cylinder. Get the fluid. And we're going to fill this up. Okay. It's topped off. Now, as long as there's nothing catastrophically wrong, pump the pedal and watch the hose for the air bubbles that are going to come out from the passenger rear. And I'm going to pump that slowly and let up slowly until the bubbles are gone in the hose, and then go back and close off the bleeder. And again, when you do this, don't be going crazy with the pedal, but you want to keep track of the fluid level and not let it run out. All right, let's see what happens here. All right, we're in the car, sitting on the floor because we have no seat. The car is in the air. I have the rear wheels off just to make it easier to get to the bleeders. Front wheels I left on because I can get to those bleeders just by turning the steering wheel. I'm using the lift because it's easier, but before I had a lift, I would just put the back of the car on jack stands, remove the wheels, and put jack stands under the front, or use a hydraulic jack to lift the front to get to the bleeders, and that's it. You don't need fancy tools to do this stuff. All right, now we're going to see what happens. I'm going to get my foot in here. I'm going to push on that pedal slowly and watch the hose and see what happens. See if I can do this without looking. I see air bubbles in the jar, so we're moving fluid. And obviously we have to push all the air out of that line as well. See if I can zoom in so you can see the bubbles. Let's see here. Need a better phone. There you can see bubbles.
and I can see fluid starting to go through the line, or fluid's in the line. We're going to get it to a point where it's just going to be fluid in the line and no air. And when we see that, we can go back and close the bleeder off. Okay, I topped off the fluid just a little bit. I don't see any obvious puddles under the car yet, so that's good. So I'm going to go back to pumping the pedal. We're getting there. I can see air going through the clear hose. Once those air bubbles are out, good. All right. You can see the fluid getting darker there. I think that's old fluid that was in the master that's getting pumped out. Right, I'm going to stop the camera and just keep pumping this until the air is all out. I think we're there, actually. Yeah, the hose looks solid. Nope, nope, there's some more air. Alright, now we're there. Okay. Alright, so now the hose. Oh, no, there's an air bubble I see in the hose. So I'll pump it a little bit more. This is what happens when you do this first time. It takes a little longer. In fact, there's an air bubble. You can see it traveling up the hose. And that's what we want to get rid of. Now sometimes you can get air around the threads of the bleeders. That's why I don't open them up too much. But I'm going to pump this a few more times, just make sure it looks good, and then move to this rear wheel. Okay, I stopped pumping with the passenger side rear open, and you can see the fluid is pretty brown. Basically, I flushed out the fluid that was in the old master cylinder, because the master cylinder is good, so I'm using it. So now I'm hooked to the driver's side rear. And I may have to bounce back and forth, but I'm going to hit this one. And there should not be as much air on this side as the other side, because the first time you got to flush out the whole line going all the way to the back. Going to the back and the hose and everything else, and all that should have fluid in it. Now it should just be the wheel cylinder on this side, really. See the air going in. I'm pumping the pedal. Basically just push down gently, push it down controlled, not just stomping on it. And it looks like we're there. The hose looks like it's full. I don't see any air in it. And now you see it's just fluid pushing into the jar. No air. No bubbles. Good. Down, close that bleeder. Alrighty. And then move to the front. Backs are done. Rears are done, rather. Connected to passenger side front. Bleeder is loose. Also, I just popped the top off the master and topped it off. You have to check it before every corner, and when you're doing the first rear wheel in the back passenger, you got to check it a couple times because you're pushing so much fluid you can run the master dry. As you can see, when I was bleeding the right rear, the fluid got really dark because I was actually pushing out the old fluid that was still in this from when it was removed from the car. So that's a good thing, you get to flush it out. Alright, so now we're connected to the right front, and we'll look at this here and see what we get. A lot of air in the front is coming out. You see the dark brake fluid starting to come through from the master cylinder. So we gotta get the new stuff in there to flush all that out. We're getting solid fluid now. Alright, we're there. Right front is done. Okay, on to the last corner. Driver's side front. See if I can show the bubbles going through. Now I can see them, but I don't know if it's showing up on camera. There you can see them going through the hose. And when the bubbles stop, tighten up the last bleeder and be good to go. So, now that the brakes are done on this car, decide what's next. Still plenty to do on this thing. Not getting into the engine yet. Still have to build more of this car before the engine goes in, because we're going to need to do a fuel system. To do a fuel system, I have to put a fuel tank in. To put a fuel tank in, I got to fix that trunk because the trunk's a wreck. So I got to fix the rust holes in the trunk first, and then go from there for the tank. So maybe that'll be the next project. Maybe we'll do floors next. Maybe we'll do something else next. I don't know. I'll go over the car. We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks for watching. I know it's a new channel. If you like this kind of crazy stuff and you want to see some other projects built, because I got lots planning on doing, subscribe, hit the like button. It's a new channel. I don't know what it's ever going to do, but I think it's fun to do. So hope you like it. See you on the next one.